Hello everyone! Today I am going to be talking about Morning Star by Pierce Brown. I have mentioned plenty of times on my channel that the Red Rising trilogy is my favorite books of all time. I absolutely love these books, and this third one did not disappoint. This is the third book in the Red Rising trilogy by Pierce Brown, the first one being Red Rising. When I first went into Red Rising, I pretty much knew nothing about it. All I knew about it was that it was about a guy named Darrow, and he is a red, which is the lowest in society, and golds are the highest in society, and that's literally all I knew about it. And once I got into it, I absolutely loved it, and as I said, it is now my favorite series ever. Morning Star probably is my favorite out of the three. It was so good. It was just everything I wanted in a book. It was just incredible. I, of course, rated this book 5 out of 5 stars. If I could, I would rate it 1,000,000,000 out of 5 stars. That's how good it is. Pierce Brown's writing is just so beautiful and so captivating. There isn't much else I can say that isn't spoilers, but if you have not read Red Rising, you need to pick it up and then read the rest of the series, because I promise you it will not disappoint you at all. So if you have not read the books, then I would suggest you go and read them, and then once you finish Morning Star, you can come back and listen to the rest of my review. As you can see, I have a ton of just notes and things I wanted to talk about. So much happened in this book that I probably will not be able to get to everything, but I am going to try. Basically, the whole time, even before I read Morning Star and during when I read Morning Star, I'm like, Darrow, please, just don't die. Just don't kill Darrow, because I love Darrow. I love Sevro and Victra as well, so I didn't want them to die either, but I'm just like, Darrow, please, please do not die. That's what I was thinking like the whole time until I got to the end of the book. It was so hard in the beginning of the book to see Darrow in so much pain. I mean, he was basically going insane down underground, and what was even worse was that he was under the gold the whole time. He was all alone for 9 months, and people were just right above him. Like, it was just terrible. I was so happy to hear that Sevro kept on looking for Darrow and did not give up on him when everyone thought that Darrow was executed and killed. I just knew he wouldn't, because he's such a true friend. I like how we have a sense in the book of what's gonna happen after this war. Io had a dream to change things, but it was just dreams. She never actually executed this out. You don't really know what's gonna happen after this war. I mean, it could be such hard times, and it's not gonna be that easy. So I really liked how he put that in there, because it made it more realistic. I was super happy to hear that Victra was alive. At the end of Golden Sun, I was really hoping that she didn't actually die, so I'm really happy that she didn't, because I loved Victra and I love her in Morning Star, so I'm really happy that she's alive. Bringing Darrow, Victra, and Holiday into the Howlers again was such a touching moment. I love that, how they were all getting drunk and they had to do all this crazy stuff just to get back into the Howlers again, because they had to basically start from scratch because they were so weak after being tortured. In the part when the nukes started coming down and Darrow was wondering if he should have trusted Sevro so blindly. I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, Darrow, you are a leader. It's okay to question him. I get that he wanted to respect Sevro because he was Aries and he's the leader, but I'm like, no, Darrow, you are the leader. I still just love Sevro and Darrow's banter between each other just all the time throughout the whole book. It was just really funny and very refreshing because they have such a great friendship. I loved, though, after a while when Darrow finally took back control and he's saying, like, I'm back. I really was happy about that because I'm like, Darrow, you know what you're doing. No offense to Sevro because I love Sevro. And I'm like, yes, good decision. I thought it was kind of funny when Darrow and Sevro were punching each other, and then after that they were just like all okay. I just thought that was really funny because it just seemed like something that they would do. When Sevro started crying with Darrow, I was just like, my baby, I'm so sorry. And I was really happy when Darrow was finally back and he knew that he had a plan. And when he gave that speech, it was so empowering. Like, even I was like, I will fight for you. I will do anything for you. That's how, like, strongly it made me feel. It was very, very inspirational. It's a good and a bad thing that I'm always afraid of who's gonna die. It's good because that means it's really good writing and that it's not just like you're never worried because you know none of the main characters are gonna die. But it's also terrible because I'm just afraid for all of my favorite characters' lives throughout the whole book. When their ship crashed underneath the water, my heart was racing the whole time. Like, I felt like I couldn't breathe because I'm just like, get up above ground, and just thinking about how the water was pitch black and they really didn't know which way was up just terrified me. I was so scared throughout that whole scene. I seriously couldn't breathe until they were like up over the surface because I'm just like, they're gonna die. They're gonna die. Something bad's gonna happen. I was at work when I was reading. I was at the scene when Ragnar died. And Ragnar is one of my favorite characters. So when he died, I was just heartbroken. And as I said, I was at work, so I was just minding my own business, and then here, Ragnar just dies. So I'm like trying to hold it in because luckily no one was really around, but I was still at work and someone could have seen me crying. So I'm like trying to hold in the tears. In the line when Darrow said, "My friend, my protector, Ragnar Valeris has left the world," I started tearing up. I didn't full out cry, but I was tearing up and I was like wiping my eyes, trying not to show it, but it was so sad because all of my favorite characters died so far. Pax died, Tactus died, now Ragnar's dead. I just couldn't handle it and I was so sad. And after that, there was just so many Ragnar feels, like when Darrow said him and Ragnar were brothers. It got to me so much. When Seffi killed her mother in that scene, I gasped like out loud, and I was also at work. I figured she was going to, but it still just caught me off guard because her mom was in the middle of talking and Seffi's just like, nope, I'm gonna kill you right now because I do not want to hear what you have to say. I really, really like the part when Sevro and Darrow were talking about Cassius, and Cassius didn't die from when Mustang shot him in the neck. And Darrow said, "Isn't that why we fight? Isn't that what you just said about Ragnar? He was made a blade, but we gave him the chance to be a shield. Cassius deserved the same." And then Sevro is like, "Just because you're right doesn't mean you're right." And I just thought that was really, really funny, and that's just like another banter between Sevro and Darrow. I love the scene when Darrow was telling the group, like Quicksilver and Dancer, Mustang, and all the other people, his plan to destroy the Sword Armada, when he said, "In 40 days, we're going to destroy the Sword Armada and rip the beating heart out of the Society war machine." I pull Sevro's razor out of the table and toss it back to him. "Now I'll take your bloody damn questions." And I'm like, damn, Darrow is so hot. I just was like, yes, just yes. It got me really emotional when Darrow was saying goodbye to everyone, like Dancer and his mother, and they all saluted him. It was just so touching and so emotional that I just started tearing up. When Victra and Sevro kind of started showing feelings for each other, I really started to ship them together, and I think they're really, really cute, and I love just watching their relationship grow, even if it's kind of subtle and we don't see too much of it. When Roke and Darrow were talking to Romulus, I really enjoyed that scene. It was very fun to read about, even though it was a very serious matter. I just really liked reading about the politics that went into it. With about 200 pages left of the book, I'm like, there is not enough time to solve everything, and I was kind of freaking out a little bit because I'm like, how are they gonna fix all of this? There's still so much to happen. One scene that was really chilling was when they were just going into battle to find Roke, and Darrow said, if you're watching EO, it's time to close your eyes. The Reaper has come and he's brought hell with him. That was just such a chilling scene because I'm like, oh man, tons of stuff is about to go down. I love how they were just arguing about what they wanted to do, if they were going to run and attack everyone who's going to come at them, or if they were going to try to break open the door, and then the door just randomly opens and they're all kind of like, what? Like, what just happened? But it was that Pink who opened the door for them to get in to see Roke. I loved how Darrow used Reds to help win the invasion because they were Helldivers and they drilled holes for Sevro and the rest of his crew to be inside so they could be in hiding. I really like that because, you know, Darrow started off as a Red and then he uses them to help win the war. It was really sad when they finally confronted Roke and then Darrow and Victra were talking to him and Victra said, honor. What honor do you think you have? We were your friends and you gave us up. Not just to be killed, but to be put in boxes, to be electrocuted, burned, tortured night and day for a year. Her voice is thick with emotion. We were your friends. And it was just so hard to read about because it's true. And then he just betrayed them and it was just so sad. But Roke's death was actually a lot sadder than I thought it was gonna be. I have figured that he was gonna die before I read Morningstar. When I was reading him dying and even afterwards with the funeral, it was very sad and I was a lot more emotional than I thought it was gonna be. It was so smart though of Darrow to pretend that he still didn't capture the ship and that he blew up the ship so then Darrow could have them. I thought that was so smart. Even though Romulus figured out Darrow was lying anyway, I thought that was really smart. The scene after Antonia killed Thistle, it was so hard to read about because just how she killed her was terrible, first of all. And then when Darrow realized that a part of him has died when he sees the scene and he's not as disturbed about it as he should be. And then Victra thinks herself is a monster because she attacked Antonia, and it's just all so sad, that whole scene. And then before they were going to attack the Spanish Armada, and Sevro went up to Victra, and you don't know what they said, but he was in a bad mood after that. And then we figure out that he tells her that he loves her, but she says that he's insane because she thinks that she's a monster and that she's poisonous. When Sevro jumps off and hangs himself with Cassius, it really reminded me of when Darrow got whipped by Pax, and they even mentioned it afterwards, how, you know, Sevro was in recovery after his neck almost snapping. When Darrow said, you're such a pixie, and then he said, well, try being whipped by Pax, and they were kind of arguing about that. But I really did like the parallel between that. The marriage scene was so cute with Sevro and Victra because, as I said before, I ship them so hard. They're so cute together. So that whole marriage scene was just so adorable. But of course, after that, everything goes to hell. After the marriage scene, I did not take any more notes because I was seriously just like flipping through the pages so fast. I was beyond pissed at Cassius the whole time when they were giving him to Octavia and the Jackal, because even from the beginning when Cassius gave Darrow that blanket, I believe it was, in the way beginning, after being underground for so long, I'm like, Cassius is gonna turn good. I'm like, I think he'll redeem himself. But then when he turned Darrow in and killed Sevro, I was just like, you monster. I was so mad at Cassius. I was just like in shock because I'm like, Sevro is my favorite. He's one of my favorite characters and he's dead. I'm like, he's dead. And Cassius killed him after he promised. I was just so mad. I seriously just could not even think. So I was just reading it basically numb the whole time. And when Darrow lost his arm, I'm like, okay, he lost his arm, but at least he didn't lose his life. I was so terrified, but I was really upset when he lost his arm because obviously he was in pain and that he couldn't fight then as well, but I was also like, okay, hopefully if he makes out of this alive that he'll get his arm back, which eventually he did. So I was reading and everything is just kind of a blur, but when Cassius saved Darrow and was like, how was my acting? And I'm like, yes, thank you. It was incredible. I totally did not see it coming. It was awesome. I loved how they were pretending the whole time. So I'm like, okay, like hopefully Sevro is alive then. Hopefully this was a fake. And it was. He took this sort of drug that made him be asleep and like act like he was dead. And then Darrow had to give him the shot to give him a heart attack. It was so scary with the Jackal, how he was releasing those nuclear bombs. I'm like, you are so crazy. I'm just like, no, that's just not okay. The whole battle scene was just kind of a blur. It was just so crazy and so intense, especially when they were attacking Aja and it looked like it was basically no hope, but they pulled it out and then the Jackal happened and he was just crazy. And all of it was just so intense. I could barely breathe throughout that whole thing. And as I said, I was just like flipping through the pages like a madman. It was very sad, but very touching in a way when the Jackal was being hung and Mustang pulled his legs to show that, yeah, he was still loved even after everything he did. That was very, very nice of Mustang to do just because she did not have to do that. She could have just let him suffer, but she did that for him. And it was very sweet, even though he does not deserve it because he's straight up evil. The ending literally killed me. Just the last, like, 10-15 pages just shattered my heart in the best way. I loved the ending. I thought it was really interesting how Mustang had baby Pax before this all even started, and she basically said, I couldn't tell you because I needed you and the world needed you to do what you had to do. If you knew you had a son, then you wouldn't have done half the stuff you did. So she'd had Pax in secret, but then Darrow finally got to meet him, and just that last paragraph, it murdered me. It murdered me inside. It was kind of funny because my dad was reading it at the same time I was, and he was a little bit ahead of me. I had about 30 pages left when he finished the book, and I'm like, are you gonna cry? And he's like, no, I think I'll be fine. But I'm like, I'm gonna cry. And I started tearing up, and I didn't even finish the book yet. So I'm like, oh great, when I finish it, I know I'm gonna be a mess. And just that last line, when he said, and I will tell him of the rage of Ares, the strength of Ragnar, the honor of Cassius, the love of Sevro, the loyalty of Victra, and the dream of Io, the girl who inspired me to live for more. Like, oh my gosh, I'm like trying not to tear up as I read that. Like, just what a perfect way to end the series. It wrecked me emotionally, and I don't know if I'm ever going to recover from that, but it was so, so good. Pierce Brown has such a way with words. Just the whole book and the whole trilogy was just excellent and well written, and it was not like your typical book where all the main characters live and you know everything's gonna be okay and work out. No, it's not like that. There's good times and there's hardships, and the ending of it was just perfect. Obviously, I loved this book completely. It just did not disappoint. I seriously cannot put into words. I keep on saying that, but I can't put into words how amazing this book is and how wonderful this book is. Like, no word can describe how great this trilogy is. And I will read anything Pierce Brown puts out. I know he is coming out with Iron Gold, I believe that's what it's called, and it's the same world, and it'll be with the same characters as this trilogy, so I'm really, really looking forward to that. Thank you so much for watching. I know this is probably going to be such a long video, but it is totally worth it because I love this book so, so much. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to subscribe to my channel, please feel free to, and I will talk to you next time. Bye!